We're live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of The Art of Spooning. I'm Sheen Fisher and my co-host, Michael Gardner.
Yes. And I know the word the art of spooning, but I kind of feel all forked up. And, seriously, I mean, are you my co-host and you my guest? Or are you my co-host and you my guest?
I promise not to get involved in that.
Well, I did wear my green shirt so that there was something over here, but you know what I'm going to do? You guys look good together. I'm going to stay on the far right where I belong.
Are you trying to tell me that I'm on the far left?
Such as it is.
Well, here we are for our third episode of The Art of Spooning. Everybody is barbecue fighting.
Yeah, baby. I love it.
And here are two guests, Mercy Barron and Billy Joyce. Mercy, as many of you know, and I had a podcast for a extended run over the course of this year. And Mercy is a Kansas City barbecue judge. In fact, if you look at the top of her badge, it says she's a master.
And don't put any dirty words after that, please.
Master.
Yes, thank you.
Kansas City barbecue judge.
Wow. Thanks. I worked hard for that.
Yeah, and she is, as it is said, the Baroness of Barbecue.
Somebody said that. I did not give myself that name. I want that known.
No, but you
might have even been you. I don't know.
No, it wasn't. It was Keith. Keith Langhorn.
Oh, you're right. It was Keith.
Yeah, but every time that I didn't call you the Baroness of Barbecue, I heard about it for like hours afterwards.
Because people would call me the Queen or the Baron. But I'm like, well, let's make the moniker stick.
I just thought that you were Daniel Barron's sister.
No comment. He doesn't spell it right anyway. So.
Oh, okay.
Remember,
okay.
2 R's. Nah, that's not how you spell it.
No.
All right, Billy, I've been following you for a while, man. You've been around the scene a long time. We all know you kind of as the surfing chef, but you've been busy the last year or so. I think you really popped up on my radar a little over a year ago. You had posted that you were shutting down your catering business, I believe. Tell us what happened with that.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year. I was going to get out of catering and get a real job. I don't know what that is.
What's a real job, man?
I don't know, but I don't know. I have 2 young kids and wife, and catering can be up and down, and without a home base, things were just kind of, I don't know, I was just getting kind of burned on it. And I was looking for a kitchen, or I was looking for a job. I was going to go work for Eric Brandt for a while, and that just kind of fell through. And I still had some parties going, and I came across Brown Bag Deli. It had been there for 38 years, and it was attached to a kitchen. And so I made an offer on a Tuesday and bought it on a Friday.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's been...
As a lawyer, that's not exactly how we recommend these things happen.
It's crazy.
Last time I ate at Brown Bag Deli was 1984. I was stationed at NTC as a young Marine. And when I heard you bought that place, I was like, wow, I guess I'm going to have to go back there again. You brought up Eric Brandt with Brandt Beef. We want to get into that a little bit later, too, because we definitely want to talk a little bit about the meats that you're using for your barbecue. So I know you've got the Billy Butter line going. What's going on with that? And then tell us a little bit about what's going on with the deli right now.
Yeah, so Billy Butter's Gourmet Butter was founded over a year ago. I had some other friends that were creating their own barbecue sauces and seasonings, and I was kind of sitting in the shower thinking, good place to think. And I'm like, how about butter? Because that's my nickname. And that's kind of where it started, and came up with 2 flavors, roasted garlic butter and a sriracha butter. And we're in about 30 stores. And then the deli.
30 stores?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, we're here at Specialty Produce, and you can order online, or when you're making your big order, you can order cases.
Where do you have it formulated?
It's formulated at Hayden's up in LA.
Okay.
And I hired a guy I didn't know anything about packaging, and there's a whole process, and hired a scientist, and figured out how to do it and put it in a jar, and it's crazy what's really cool is when I go to people's houses and you open up the butter, you open up the refrigerator, and there it is next to the regular butter. You're like, hey,
Excellent.
I've arrived.
What are you doing in people's refrigerators, Billy?
Sometimes I forget stuff, and I got to pillage. So, yeah,
Must be a big refrigerator.
yeah. And then the deli is just happening. I didn't expect it. For me, working hard that comes natural, but when the people just keep coming, you get a little overwhelmed. You're like, where are they coming from? It's hard to explain, but
Well, there was a huge outpouring when you talked about shutting down your catering business, right? And that obviously
Yeah.
had an impact in you staying in the business, looking for the kitchen.
yeah, it was. A lot of people were, like, what are you doing? Like, no way. Like, and especially my one client, Marcy, we do a bunch of big political events, and it was during the big political race, and Hillary was coming, and she's like, "You can't do this to me. You can't shut down. I need you." And it was, and she's been there for me, and yeah, I just kind of stayed the course, and then bought the deli, and now it's like I can't keep up. So
When you bought the deli, were you thinking of it as a brick and mortar restaurant, or were you thinking of it as a catering hub?
I thought it was going to be a catering hub with a little bit of deli attached to it, and within 4 months, it grew 400%.
Whoa,
Yeah, I was
that's
like,
good growth.
How much of that has to do with the Santa Maria and the smoker you've got sitting in the parking lot?
It's crazy. Yeah, so we roast our own meats. We do our own turkey. We pull our own pork, we roast it, and then we do Brant beef, roast beef. So we started with that. We started with 10 sandwiches, and we started to do the Santa Maria because I was already doing that with my catering.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a smaller one. Phil Roxworthy, Phil, give a little plug for him. He makes our grills, and we
Well, why don't you explain what a Santa Maria barbecue is for people who may not know?
Yeah, so you can use charcoal, but we use red oak, and we have a wheel that brings a grate up and down, so you can kind of control. Some people just get the flame too hot, and they put their steak on, or especially their tri-tip, and they burn the shit out of it. So what's nice with Santa Maria is you can sear your steaks off, or sear your tri-tip off, whatever you're grilling, and then you can raise the wheel.
So basically, that wheel is your temperature dial.
Temperature dial, yeah. And then, or if your flame starts to go down,
Mm-hmm.
you can lower it to the flame.
Right.
And I think it still gives it a smoky taste too,
Oh, for sure.
because it's on the fire for
Right.
so long.
Right. Yeah.
Even though it's not a smoker per se.
Yeah, and then we started doing the tri-tip sandwiches. We call it just the tip. Come
Clever.
come for the tip, stay for the whole thing. And,
That's good.
it's funny when we call it out. We're like, "Hey, John, just your tips ready." But we like to have fun at the deli. Bunch of immature kids. It's great.
Love it.
So now you're going to be getting into competition.
Yeah, we bought a smoker, a big one, and kind of how that transpired was we did the Battle of the Brisket competition at Del Mar Fair that Eric Brandt put on.
Oh, that's right. I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we were gonna borrow Chef Hannes's,
Mhm.
and a couple days before we were informed that it had to be under 8.5 feet tall to get into the infield.
Right.
And so I called Chef Hannes. I'm like, "Hey, how tall is that smoker?" And he's like, "It's 12.5 feet tall." So we scrambled, and we called. We looked on Craigslist. We're like, we were at Restaurant Depot or at Home Depot, at Lowe's. We were on Craigslist. Like, we need a smoker. We got to figure this out. And we found this one on Craigslist up in Huntington Beach. It was called Smokezilla.
Smokezilla.
And it was like something, yeah. It was like something from like the VFW. It was like some just jalopy of a smoker. $150 a day, and the guy wouldn't even give us his address at first. I thought like we're gonna go steal it or something.
We could tell you, but we'd have to kill you.
So we go up there, we get it, and we bring it down. And it's just this beast of a smoker, and we put a team together, and we went out to the Battle of the Briskets, and our team took first place. It was crazy.
With
That's
a borrowed
right. Yeah,
smoker.
congratulations, by the way.
That's a feat with a borrowed smoker.
Yeah.
Well, and also brisket is the toughest meat to cook and do it right. In competition, we very rarely have great slices of brisket, and it tasted yours, Billy. And
How would you know, Mercy? Oh, wait, that's right. You're a championship barbecue judge.
yeah.
Which, speaking of, you just came back from the World Championships of barbecue, right?
I did no, it wasn't of barbecue. It was the World Food Championships, and there's 10 categories. One of them is barbecue. I ended up judging top 10, chef's table, and then supposedly barbecue, but it was very interesting in that I got nothing resembling any barbecue proteins I've ever seen before.
How so?
Because the only requirement for the top 10 barbecuers who were in ancillary rounds where they cooked the four meats you cook, but the top 10 their only requirement was they had to use Rufus Teague barbecue sauce, which is, we're not even familiar with Rufus Teague out here.
Sponsor?
A sponsor.
That makes sense.
Exactly. Oh no, that's what happens.
My reason for saying what is it seems awfully weird that you're running everything off of a sauce in barbecue rather than running it off of the protein. And
I agree because I got dishes that I could barely taste the barbecue in because they were really highly refined dishes, like fine dining dishes. I mean, if you go on my Instagram on Barron's Barbecue Beat and you look at the dishes that I've posted, which I haven't even posted them all yet, you're like, what does that have to do with barbecue? And they had to kind of had to put that barbecue sauce in there. So it was just, I was a little disappointed, not in the dishes themselves because they were delicious. I was disappointed. I was like, well, I didn't know that. Yeah. I didn't know that I wasn't going to be getting chicken, ribs, pork, medallions are pulled, and brisket. Well, not at all.
Let's
but you have a pretty good idea what Rufus Teague barbecue sauce tastes like now,
I do now.
Very good idea.
Is it good?
Yeah, I mean, I got little sample packages of it to try later. By itself, it was delicious.
So walk us through a barbecue competition, and what are the categories, and what do you expect?
Well, the four categories I mentioned are chicken. It's usually thighs, although legs once in a while. Very rarely see breasts, as we know. Difficult to cook breasts because they can dry out so easily. Ribs is the second category. That's my favorite. And then there's, like I said, pork. It can be pulled or medallions. And then brisket. And we're seeing a lot of burnt ends now in the brisket. For those who don't know what burnt ends is, it comes off of the point of the brisket, and they cut it in little squares, and it gets kind of candied and caramelized. And they know the judges love them, so it's not required in the box, but we see them now a lot in the boxes. And we get there's 6 judges.
So when you say a box, they hand you a styrofoam box that has one from each of the 4 categories.
No. First category is just all chicken.
Okay. So 4 different boxes.
No.
Okay.
There could be 60 teams, 60 judges. There's going to be at least 6 pieces because there's 6 judges at a table.
Okay.
And we do appearance, taste, and tenderness.
Okay.
And we take one thigh and, it's usually a thigh, and we take a bite or two and we score everything. That's how it goes. Then the next category, about 10, 12 minutes later, is ribs, and then you'll just get ribs in the box. That's pretty much how it goes.
Okay, so each category, each competitor gives the judges a box?
Yes, each team. Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes there's more than 6 pieces in it. Anyways, that is how we judge it, and you really, because when you take a class, it's just a 4-hour class. When you learn how to judge, you really learn on the job. And I've had over 30 competitions now that I've judged at. So.
And you're a master.
Yeah, you have to have 30 competitions. You have to cook with a team at a competition, and you have to take a written test. And now I'm a master judge. And they try to have at least 1 and sometimes 2 master judges at each table. We don't really have any authority over anybody, but hopefully know a little bit more. We can help people out next to us and stuff like that.
Have you had any that you've judged where your fellow judges were completely clueless, or a?
You don't really know because you're not supposed to. First of all, you can't make any sounds. You can't go You can't go ugh. You can't make any sounds at the table. You're not really supposed to see anybody else's scorecard. When it's handed in and your table captain hands in your scorecards and they're okayed by the reps, then you're allowed to talk at the table. Did you like number 1 best? Did you like number 4 best? Yeah. That's when we talk about it. And you will see some people who are, I wouldn't say clueless at all. people listen, I mean, they want to hear what do the master judges have to say. When a master judge would agree with something I put down as the same kind of
Before you were a master judge.
before I was master judge, exactly, I would go, oh, cool, I'm kind of with what they're thinking. They might have 100 competitions under their belt, so it's a good feeling when you know that.
Do you feel that there is an absolute that or is it all relative? Is it all taste? Or do you think that there truly is? This is the best. This is what it should be like.
It really
Platonic
does.
ideal.
Well, it does really go back to individual palate. Even though we are given certain guidelines, we're never, and you can't compare the one you just tasted to the next one that you're given. That's the hardest thing to not compare, to judge each on its own. But it really is individual palate. Things tend towards very sweet these days, which, as much as I love sweets and sugar and all that, I wish it wasn't also sweet, but it's all very Kansas City style these days, which you might want to know some of that stuff. So that's what the judges kind of want. I prefer to taste the meats a little more. You're not going to see a lot of sauce on anything. You'll see a little glaze of sauce on the thighs. You'll see a little glaze of sauce on the ribs. That's it. There can't be any pooling of sauces. They get marked down for that.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So, that's interesting. That makes, I mean, I'd probably like that.
Which makes it not really a sauce, more of a glaze.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's a glaze that they just put on there. And then everything is, not everything, butts and shoulders of pork are usually injected. There's a lot of injections going on. And then what they do with the chicken thigh skins are just ridiculous.
What do they
I don't
do?
know if you know any of this stuff, Billy, but
I'm learning.
Well,
oh my God.
So
If
that's
you
a good point. Billy's he's thinking about getting into competition seriously. Take us through the cook. I know just recently you had to go, you did your cook. That was like
did.
your last step in your certification. So take us through a cook from start to finish.
Well, you're starting at 3 or 4 in the morning. Usually everybody starts with their chicken, and I said thighs usually first. Because, Billy, I'm telling you what they do with the thighs are... I was flummoxed when I first saw this 5 years ago when I started. I mean, they pull that skin off. They scrape the fat off of it. What? 'Cause
Why?
We know the taste is because the fat becomes
Fire.
little lumpy things, and it doesn't look good for appearance. So they take that skin off. They scrape all the fat off of it. Then they put it back on there. And I thought, what? They put it on with food glue or something? Because we have to do the one bite thing, and that skin better not pull off. They kind of get marked down if the skin pulls off.
So you use transglutaminate?
Nope, they don't use anything. I don't even understand how it stays on there. And I helped, and I watched, and I was just like, I'm amazed. And like sometimes I notice myself actually almost kind of holding the skin on there because I'm praying it doesn't come off. I know. So they start with the chicken, and I know. It is kind of ridiculous, and you're allowed to do some things.
Maybe
like,
natural collagen in the skin as that starts to emulsify with the heat kind of acts as a glue.
A glue,
by
it
the
must.
time it
I
gets
mean,
to the
it
judge's
does.
table, it'll cool down.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit and contract.
Well, I'm if you think about it, transglutaminase is basically that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's it's basically animal proteins, and they're sitting there and they're synthesizing it. Maybe given the amount of time, it has the same effect.
It's amazing. I don't know how it stays on there. And then, in the meantime, the ribs take the least amount of time to smoke and cook. Anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, as Billy probably knows. The hardest is the brisket. I mean, they trim it as... each pit master is going to trim it the way they want to trim it. You don't want to obviously take too much fat off of that. I love that fat cap on there because it just tastes so good. I've only cooked with one team. I don't know even whom I'm tasting when I'm judging because it's all double blind. I would actually love to cook with more teams and do that just as a learning thing because everybody kind of does their own little thing and does it a little bit differently.
Right.
And it's amazing. You'll cook something one time, or you'll cook it the same way every time. All of a sudden you get a call. You're in the top 10. And they call it, getting a call. And you get to go up there and collect your money maybe in the top, I think it used to be top 3. Now it's like top 5 and 10. And they don't understand. They did it exactly the same way the next competition. They get no call, nothing. They're number 59 out of 60. So it's competition is I would never want to do it. Never. I'd rather just judge. There's so much involved with it. And I just got to say, so many people have come to me and say, oh, I want to compete. And I go, okay, I bet you've been told you make great this, great that, great. And some of them don't even know tri-tip is not even one of the categories. And I go, do you have any idea what's involved? You need to get online. You need to start looking at that. There are Facebook pages just for There's one called Turn In Box, I believe, and I learn a lot even from that myself. And if you are just starting about thinking get into it, those are the kind of sites.
Turn In Box.
Turn In Box,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
You know, just to kind of see what the judges are looking for. And there's a lot of us judges on those websites where you really learn a lot. It's so much more involved, other than all your friends telling you make great barbecue.
Well, so Billy, you still looking forward to doing this?
Yeah, I want to do chicken breast. Just
because nobody else
I've been
does.
challenged, you know. I'll show you.
How would you do it?
Well, just starting with good chicken, I guess. You know, starting there, and that's interesting about the fat.
The skin on the
yeah.
thighs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do it on the breast, because I think I've only once gotten breasts.
Yeah.
And it wasn't very dried out. But remember, by the time you're done cooking, and by the time it gets to the judge,
It's totally
kind of like
different.
brisket. That's why usually by the time we get brisket, it's dried. Yeah. It's dried out. Because once you slice brisket, it starts drying out.
So, Billy, you just had a smoker built.
Yes.
Tell us about that process. I mean, I want to hear the technical side of it. I know you got a couple of, sounds like retired Navy welders or something working on that. How did you design the smoker?
So a couple of guys came in the deli. Joe the welder, that's a good name, and Corey Jones. He has his own podcast. But I was like, hey man, can you guys build a smoker? You know, you guys weld on the nuclear subs, and you know the nuclear subs are you know, if you're welding on those, you most likely know what you're doing. And Joe the welder, he's like, listen, I've had this design for 25 years, but nobody's had the money to do it, and I haven't had the money. And if you're up for doing it and you want to put the money down, I'll build it. So they found an old, like a 250-gallon old diesel tank, you know, on Craigslist on the side of, you know, some abandoned building. I don't know where they found it, but so they took it home and they just started cutting it and doing their thing and shaping it. They would send me, you know, texts every, you know, weekend. They would work on the weekends on it. And it's an upright with 5 36-inch rack. So you can spin the racks. And they built a custom, super cool custom door, kind of like something out of, you know, like medieval times, you know, kind of a door. And
Smoke box beneath?
the smoke box is beneath, and there's four pretty big holes.
Where's the Iron Maiden?
I'm putting the surround sound for the Iron Maiden.
Okay.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
So this thing's it's gonna be hotter down low. You're gonna have to really understand how this thing's gonna.
Yeah,
cook, right?
we're gonna have to rotate. But it's pretty. You know, we did our Thanksgiving dinners on them. We did a 185-pound bluefin tuna on it to start.
Oh, cool!
Came out just
Really?
Yeah, I was looking for some fish to throw in. I was like, I'm gonna throw anything in this big old beast, and this guy brought me a 185-pound bluefin belly, and just so good.
Yeah.
Oh man, that
Wow.
sounds great.
No problem controlling the temp. Just
No,
gotta keep an eye on it.
At first, we put too much wood in because we're like,
I was gonna say with the smoke box beneath.
well, the temperature gauge up top, it only goes to 250. So we're putting one on the door now, and we'll be able to control the temperature much more. And so we learned from the start that was too much wood, and so now we got to like a little less wood and control your wood.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have any idea that.
That's what
if I
Mario
had,
Batali
if I had
said.
a nickel for every time I heard that.
Oh, I'm not getting involved in any of those conversations. You know, I don't know if you know that a lot of competitors. Well, first of all, they spend about $1,200 to $1,500 every time they compete. It's a very expensive hobby. A lot of them have, you know, amazing mobile rigs that they take to all these things. Some of them just have smokers, and you'll see 4 or 5 smokers. But one thing that I don't know if a lot of would-be competitors think about, I don't know if you thought about, is they spend so much time practicing their cooks.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great to live next to somebody like that because they end up giving it all away. Because as a competitor,
Billy,
you
when
can only eat so much.
you're practicing, could you just like let
Call
us know?
Call us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need a place to put it right now. It's,
Right.
it's in my parents' driveway.
Where do your parents live?
Are we still talking about just the tip?
Yeah.
Or,
No.
so you already tried running away to the circus once before, man. So you got time for all of this, you know?
You know, I think the deli is getting close to where I can step away, but
Nice.
you know, it's not quite there. I'm emerging right now. It's,
Yeah.
You know, there's so much passion, and something to be said for a deli. And all of our sandwiches are chef inspired, by myself. And so it's not just, boar's head coming in on a truck. From the bread to the sauce to the meat to, our dinners to go to our salad dressings. I mean, everything has passion and it shows. And that's why people are coming.
It shows fundamentally in the meat. I mean, you can, chef design all you want, which, and you can make something look great all you want, but what you can't fake is the way it tastes. And, when I've eaten at Surfside Deli, that's what stands out to me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, one of our segments at the end of every show is the specialty produce vegetable of the week. And the specialty produce vegetable of the week for episode 3 is corn. So my question to the assembled panel is, what would you do with corn, Billy?
Just looking at it right now, I would soak it in some salt water, and then I would grill it on the Santa Maria, and I would put some of Billy butter, sriracha butter on it. Hit it with a little cotija cheese or shave it off, and put it in a taco, and with some homemade salsa. And just I love
Kind of
it.
an elotes, a Mexican street food, elotes and tacos.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up going to Baja my whole life surfing, and
Yeah.
I love corn first of all.
Yeah.
And I love cotija cheese, and I love tacos. So that's
We'll
kind
put
of
'em all
where
together.
that's where I would go with it.
Yeah.
You stole my idea, but I really only recently in the last year or so gotten turned on to elote, and actually even at the OB Farmers Market, and now of course I make it at home. But and to me, it's just not right unless a lot of the kernels are kind of burned.
Yep, you need a little bit of
And
that.
at the OB Farmers Market, they never do it like that. I'm like, can
Yeah.
I have your most burned one? And there's not one black kernel on there. You gotta have it. I love that when it sticks to your teeth, kind of thing.
You don't bring a blowtorch with you
Yeah,
to the
real-
market?
Yeah, and then like you said with the cotija and some what do you call it?
Tajín.
Tahine, or even just
Hi, Claudia.
chili powder. Yeah, even some chili powder on it, and a little bit of salt. And anyways, that is my favorite way to eat it. And I grew up with that. My dad putting that on the grill.
Yeah.
We had a conversation a little while ago that in regards to tamales, that a tamale is a masa dish.
It is.
And I would have disagreed, but in the last month, I've had 2 of the best tamales I've ever had. One was at Kai on the Indian Reservation in Phoenix. Worth the trip just for that restaurant. Wow. And the masa is cooked where it's almost porridge-like. It hugs the meat.
Yep.
That particular one was sweet. I had one more recently this weekend, the smoked chicken from Coops.
Coops, yeah.
And let me tell you what, same consistency, just, not the overcooked, tight masa. What I'd love to see done with that corn is maybe slow roasted over a fire or in a pan, just slow roasted, caramelized, bring the sweetness out of it, chop a little bit of that up, put it in the masa, because now you've got that porridgey consistency with a little bit of texture in it.
Absolutely.
It's Christmas time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go a very different way with it.
Of course you are.
My favorite corn dish. And I love elotes. I love it done in a glass. But my favorite dish with corn is from your neck of the woods, your original neck of the woods, and that's Cajun Creole corn and crab soup. And I just think that the marriage of sweet corn and sweet crab is a marriage made in heaven. You pull it together with some spicy elements, and you've just got probably my favorite soup on the rock. That's what I'm doing with it.
Wow, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's episode 3 of The Art of Spooning, and we're going to be back for episode 4 for part 2 of our interview with Billy Joyce and Mercy Barron. Mercy Barron, Billy Joyce, not Daniel Barron.
Thank you.
Okay.
See ya.
See ya.